Good morning, everybody, and welcome to The Balancing Act. We hope you're having a good morning. I'm Julie Moran.
And I'm Olga Villaverde, and I'm having a great morning because, number one, I had my Cuban coffee, and number two, you know I love food, right?
You love it. But I got to tell you something. You know what my nickname is? You don't know this yet. We know each other very well.
What?
What do you think it is? Well, you can't. Hoover. My husband thinks I eat like a vacuum, and I just start from one end of the plate and go to the next. That's not attractive. It's not attractive. But everything in moderation, I have to tell myself that. As we'll learn in our next installment of Losing Weight Effectively, thanks to our friends at Skinny Body.
That's how we stay skinny, so let's get it started. The Balancing Act starts right now.
Hoover? Yep.
Really?
That's it.
I love that. Welcome to the fourth segment in our six-part series, New Year, New You. Today's focus, finding your inner winner. Back with us is Ty Jackson, a health and fitness advisor, and Courtney Looper, who has lost, 80 pounds, 80, and is helping other women find their own inner winner by achieving life-changing weight loss goals. Welcome back, Ty.
Thank you very much.
80 pounds?
Actually, it's 85.
Oh, well. 5 more. Good for you. You look great.
Thank you.
Ty, let me start with you real quick. You hear these stories of women losing weight, which is awesome, but weight loss, it really can be difficult for many people, and especially keeping it off, let's be honest. So how do women like her find their inner winner?
Really, it sounds simple, but what it boils down to is what you believe. I mean, do you believe that, because you're however old, this is just the way it's supposed to be? Do you believe that just because you've been overweight maybe since a child, that this is the way it's destined to be? Or do you believe that you can lose weight? Do you believe that, if you don't lose weight and get healthy, you might be subjected to a lot of these diseases we're seeing with obesity? So it boils down to belief.
Great point. Courtney, obviously you believed in yourself. Tell me what inspired you to finally say no more? I don't want to, I want to lose weight.
I'm 38 years old, and after being overweight the last 20 years, I got tired of it. I have 2 boys that are now grown, and, I've been overweight their entire childhood, and all I've ever wanted was to make them proud of me.
Oh.
And I wanted to be able to walk in a store and not have to run from somebody because it's an old school friend and I'm ashamed of myself. I wanted.
And good for you. You wanted to just finally lose the weight that you've had. And honestly, a lot of people want to do that too. Ty, you two worked out I believe a few minutes ago, and we have video of that. So tell me what kind of exercises you and Courtney did.
Well, the first thing we wanted to do was we didn't want to go into anything too strenuous. A lot of times, you see exercises out there and they look good, but a lot of people can't do them. So we did something real simple. We laid her on the ground on the mat, and she did scissors, which is, there's no impact on the back, which a lot of people have, and it's very easy to do, where you cross your legs and you just make scissors back and forth, back and forth.
And they make a difference.
Absolutely. You get about 6 inches off the ground, and it's going to target that midsection, which is where a lot of people want to target, mainly women.
Me? I need to work on my stomach.
And then the next thing we did is we did bicycles. Same thing, target the midsection, make sure you're pushing all the way through, because a lot of times people tend not to really work it because you're not on an actual bicycle. And so we made sure to go ahead and push through with that. And then we flipped over and we targeted the buttocks. The gluteus maximus.
I love how you said that. The buttocks.
And we just did some kickbacks, and where you get down on all fours, straighten each leg, make sure you're pushing all the way through, and that's going to target your buttocks.
Now, Courtney, managing plateaus is a big part of weight loss, and I know sometimes you reach that plateau. So talk about that for a moment, because you're up to 85, and sometimes you get to a moment that it goes, I'm not seeing a difference anymore.
Actually, I reached a plateau about 6 weeks ago, and decided to start working out. I've never had the energy to work out before this, so I now have that, and I broke through that plateau. That's how I lost the other 5 pounds.
Excellent, excellent. And talk to me about how Skinny Fiber works into all of this.
Well, one of the main ingredients in skinny fiber is the glucomannan, and it is a dietary fiber, a soluble fiber, and what it does is it actually expands in your body to help to keep you fuller longer so you can go in between those meals and not have to snack, which is where a lot of people fall short.
And Courtney, I have to bring you in because you and I were talking before, and you told me that you would go to 3 or 4 restaurants and you were always hungry. So this obviously made a difference for you. Tell me how it worked on you.
Oh yeah, I had a never-ending appetite. I mean, it's not something I would tell people about, but I mean, I could go to one restaurant and have a meal and pull right into another one and have a meal, and obviously that's how I got to 308 pounds.
And question, when you get to the weight you want to get to, would you recommend continuing this?
Of course, just the digestive enzymes alone is worth continuing it.
So it helps control that appetite.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Digestive enzymes, basically the foods that we eat nowadays are so nutrient deficient and they don't break down in our system, a lot of processed foods. And so what the digestive enzymes do is they go in there and they help to clean up that toxic environment, which will allow the body to release some of the weight.
I'm loving it. Now, Ty, where can our viewers find out about the 90-day challenge and about, of course, your product?
We set up a special website for your viewers, which is www.skinnyfiberontv.com.
And any last words from you to inspire maybe somebody out there this morning that has looked in the mirror and said, forget it? What would you say?
You haven't failed until you give up. So just keep trying.
Good for you.
Never know, this may be it.
How many more pounds do you want to lose?
I want to lose 85 more.
Okay, so you'll come back after the next 85?
I will.
Promise?
I will.
All right.
I will.
Thank you so much. Good
Thank
luck to
you.
you. Thank you, Ty.
Thank you.
Thank you for the information. And to find your inner winner as you set your own weight loss goals for a new year, visit us at thebalancingact.com. Have a weight loss story. We'd love to hear from you. Share it with us at Facebook.com/The Balancing Act Fame. Infertility. According to the Center for Disease Control, nearly 6 million American couples have trouble getting pregnant or staying pregnant. And it's not just a woman's problem. Nearly 1/2 of infertility issues can be traced directly to the man. To discuss this topic this morning, we have Dr. Dawn Evenson, an internationally recognized expert in infertility, and Dr. Michael Jacobs, a noted infertility expert from Miami, Florida. Good morning, doctor.
Morning, Olga.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Jacobs.
Thank you.
Dr. Evenson, let me start with you. Let's start about talking about your professional journey in this medical field, if you don't mind.
Yes, some years ago when I was on the faculty of Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City, I was challenged with the question of, is it possible for us to measure the potential amount of DNA damage in sperm for guys undergoing chemotherapy? And as you know, chemotherapy agents can break DNA, and so this is what we found, and that project was very successful.
And you've done so much with that, and we're going to talk about that in just a few moments. Dr. Jacobs, your history as well?
I'm a specialist in reproductive endocrinology and fertility, a medical director of the Fertility and IVF Center in Miami, and we've been treating couples here in South Florida for 22 years now, both men and women, that have difficulty conceiving or maintaining pregnancies.
Can you tell me what sperm DNA fragmentation is, and give me the layman version?
Well, if you look at a DNA molecule, it's a double helix, so these two strands of genetic material that are intertwined together. And when you have breaks in the structure, the integrity of the DNA is not normal. And in simple terms, if the DNA is not structurally intact, the genes that are related to coding for fertility and that are responsible for helping maintain an embryo in early development aren't functioning properly. So the signals aren't being processed, and so either patients have trouble getting pregnant or staying pregnant.
But we've come a long way, I have to say, and there's so much hope out there for couples today. Dr. Evenson, let me ask you, what do the letters, and I'm reading it here, SCSA in your company stand for?
Well, the S is for sperm.
Okay.
And then C is for chromatin. Chromatin is where the proteins are wrapped around the DNA to protect the DNA, and that's structure. And then S is for structure. It's important that the structure of the proteins and the DNA are correct. Otherwise, you don't get a proper readout of the genes that are necessary for embryo growth, and the embryo may die. And then A is simply assay or test.
Okay. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. My husband and I actually had problems getting pregnant. And I don't want to say the problem, but it was the issues that I had. And I took some infertility pills as well. And we have 2 beautiful girls today because of all the help that we got along the way. How often, if I can ask, is infertility traced back to problems with men and specifically their sperm? Dr. Evenson?
Basically, it boils down to about 1 in 5 men have this problem who come to an infertility clinic. There are some dramatic examples, however. For example, we did a study in Teplice, Czech Republic, where there's heavy pollution and there's a high level of infertility and miscarriages. And we found that the pollution level was responsible for breaking the DNA in the sperm of those men.
And Dr. Jacobs, you and I were talking about this a few minutes before we started talking right now on the show about how way back when it kind of had the stigma of being the woman that had the problem, but not so.
It's about 40% of the time it's going to be a male factor, 40% a female factor, and the rest are going to be a mixture of both or just unexplained. So it becomes very, very important to test the man, and there are a couple of different clinical ways to do that.
And can you talk to me about some external factors that kind of make the sperm ineffective when it comes to men?
Well, environmental factors, things that people can have some control over, heavy smoking, use of drugs, exposure to bad environmental agents. If you're a landscape, you're involved with pesticides and so forth. Those are things that you can sort of take precautionary measures to try and avoid. Some things that you can't. If you have an anatomic lesion, such as a dilated vein in the testicle known as a varicocele, if you were born with an undescended testes called cryptorchidism that had to be corrected, if you needed chemotherapy because you were treated for some kind of cancer, if you have hypertension and you're on medications, all of these things have been associated with increased breaks in the DNA and increased levels of fragmentation.
But like I said, there's a lot of hope, so stay right there, gentlemen, if you will, because when we come back, how the SCSA test, called the gold standard for sperm DNA fragmentation screening, is helping couples suffering from infertility. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We've been talking with Dr. Don Evenson, President and Director of SCSA Diagnostics, and Dr. Michael Jacobs from the Fertility and IVF Center of Miami, both leading experts in the field of human infertility. Dr. Evenson, let me start with you. First, explain to me what this sperm DNA test and the process involved to get it done.
The patient can simply go to an infertility clinic and present the semen sample. That sample is then frozen and sent to our diagnostic center. We then thaw the sample, we treat it with specific chemicals and a dye that stains normal DNA green and abnormal broken DNA red. Then we run it through a computer that then measures 5,000 sperm per sample. And it shows exactly the amount of DNA break in the sperm and what percentage of the sperm are broken.
Dr. Jacobs, tell me some advantages of having this test as opposed to other tests.
Well, it complements what we already do. The issue is that a man can have a totally normal semen analysis, traditional count, motility, morphology. How many are there? Do they move? Are they normal in shape? And have very abnormal fragmentation in the DNA. And if you don't look at that, you're not going to get a full picture of the potential of that man to fertilize his wife's eggs.
I can only imagine that the couples that have come to both of you, when you see that family and you can make that difference, doctor, I can only imagine the fulfillment you feel. Do you have a story that you'd like to share with us? Because I always like to end on a high note.
We did a large study in Canada where there were 13 couples that had a idiopathic or unexplained infertility for years. These men had more than a 30% threshold of fragmentation. These couples then volunteered to do a donor sperm, and it turned out that 11 of the 13 couples were pregnant within 3 months. It certainly showed that the major factor here was probably the man's sperm DNA fragmentation.
11 out of the 13. Yeah. What a fabulous success story. Dr. Jacobs, do you have one?
Well, we had a couple that came to us with unexplained infertility, had been through multiple treatments elsewhere, including IVF that was unsuccessful with not good quality embryos. And they never had a DNA fragmentation test. We did the test, found out it was abnormal. We're able to treat the couple with, the man particularly, with antioxidants and vitamin therapy. And after 3 months, his values became more normal. We then did IVF with the injection of the egg, and they had beautiful embryos and now have a baby.
That's awesome. So for anybody out there, Dr. Jacobs, that maybe has said, oh, forget it, it's not going to happen, what would you say?
Never give up hope. There's tremendous means of treating people, tremendous opportunity to have a family, and to seek out a specialist that can do the appropriate evaluation and guide your treatment to end up with a happy outcome.
Doctor, thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it, Dr. Jacobs. Thanks for being here. And if you'd like to learn more about this morning's topic, visit us at thebalancingact.com or get social. Join us on Facebook /The Balancing Act fans.
Thanks so much for spending part of your morning with us, and we hope that you learned a little something here today.
Are you kidding? I learned that your nickname is Hoover. I want you to give me a nickname, okay?
Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask our viewers to give you a nickname.
Oh,
Be
goodness.
kind, but think of a good one. All right, write in. Remember, we've got lots more on our website, thebalancingact.com.
I did have a teacher that called me Spunky. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. Look us up anytime, and until the next time, remember to find
your balance. It's very hard for Olga, but you can do it.
You got to pick of one. You got to pick of
I'll
one.
think of it.
Okay.